Hello, welcome to Car Shop Insiders. This is a podcast where we take you behind the counter and talk about how to run a local game store. We've got John, who runs the toy factory in Hillsborough, North Carolina, and has been in the business for 26 years. That's what we decided, right, John?
Yep. Quarter of a century.
Quarter of a century. Then there's me. I'm Noah. I play lots of games. I've played the games for at least that long. And I enjoy being a patron of this and pretty much any game store that I can find cool cards in. And we are here today to talk about the internet's top questions for a local game store owner. Some of these questions you guys may have heard in our old episodes, but who are we kidding? You probably didn't listen to those. So you should go back and listen to those. Find them on Spotify or on YouTube. Give them a like, give them a thumbs up, leave comments, interact with us, tell your friends to do it. But we're going to jump in today, and I'm going to ask John some questions, and we're going to get his honest, blunt, and unfiltered answers because John doesn't know the questions yet. You ready?
Let it rip.
All right, John. What inspires you to open a game store, and why do you focus so much of your energy on Magic the Gathering?
All right. Opening up a gaming store was kind of like a perchance happening. When I retired from the pharmaceutical industry, I was looking for something to do. I started selling at the flea market.
Not cards.
Not cards at first. Selling birdhouses and bird feeders and Beanie Babies and things like that. Was that an actual question?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that was in the first episode. Go back to the first episode, and there's a more detailed explanation. But that's
the answer to the question.
I am. I'm going in a roundabout way. Yeah, I mean, that's really what happened. I started selling at the flea market because my stepson at the time wanted to buy a car. And I said, if you want to buy a car, you're going to have to earn it. And this is what we're going to do. So we decided to sell birdhouses and bird feeders and that kind of thing. We did so well that we would run out of stock on Saturday. We'd make these things all week long. We'd sell out on Saturday, come back, beat from being at the flea market, make more on Saturday night, go on Sunday and sell more. And I said to myself, this is going pretty good. I was actually going to open up a small shop to do so, to produce these things commercially. Thank God I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Then one day I saw somebody down the aisleway at the flea market with a whole bunch of people in front of their tables. So I said to my stepson, I said, go down there and find out what the hell they're doing. What are they selling? So he came back a couple of minutes later. He said, they're selling Beanie Babies. And I looked at him. I said, what in the hell are Beanie Babies?
Mm-hmm.
He said, oh, those are the things Mom is buying, Janelle. I said, oh, those are Beanie Babies. So I went down there and looked at it myself. And I said, oh, man, this is great. You don't have to make them. All you have to do is find them and buy them. Then I realized how hard it was to get them into the stores because at that time it was crazy. People were following UPS trucks around. They were going into stores and they were buying everything that the stores had. They would buy them for $5 or whatever the hell they cost at that time, turning around and selling them at the flea market for double the amount. However, being as tenacious as I was, I started hunting around and I found some Beanie Babies. So in addition to birdhouses and bird feeders, I had some Beanie Babies. I think the first week I had 30 of them. Doubled my money. I said, ooh, this is good. We don't have to make them, as I mentioned before. The following week, I found enough that I think I had 300 to 400 of them. I don't remember the exact number. And we took them to the flea market and sold out everything that we had. And we were at the flea market, not as the, daily type person that come in, go in the back and just sell out and go home. We had a permanent booth that we would, set up at. So it was funny because inside the building of the flea market, there was somebody else that was selling Beanie Babies. That was an official Thai store, had a Thai account that were selling them for the, the right amount. So I said to my stepson, I said, go and see if you could buy a couple. He did. He came back with a couple. We sold them, double the price. Where they could have gotten them inside
Yeah.
that, at the regular price. I went in, got more, sold them. All right. Eventually, after a couple of weeks, the person got smart and said, "Hey, you can't buy them here and take them outside and resell them." I said, "Why not?" I said, "I'm buying them from you." Well, we're going to limit you to the amount that you can buy. I said, "That's fine." But by that time, we were competitors because they only had a certain number. I had a source coming out of Canada. I had a source coming out of Illinois. This one girl that I met online, her name was Denise. She was married to a surgeon. That was her part-time job, going around her hometown near Chicago, buying Beanie Babies, marking them up a little bit, shipping them to me. I went through three different size trailers, an 8-footer, a 12-footer, and eventually had a 16-foot trailer that opened up on the side, and I built sliding ramps, and I was the king of Beanie Babies there. And that again, I didn't have to make the damn things, and we were making a killing. Plus, I remember the bag phones.
Yeah.
I had a bag phone in my truck that I routed through the back window of the truck into the trailer,
Okay.
and I used it for credit card. I had a credit card machine. I was the only one that had a credit card machine,
Yeah.
which was great. And I had a great business going there with Beanie Babies. One day I went to, they call it Super Flea in Greensboro. My stepson couldn't go, so I went by myself. I had two tables, two 8-foot tables. I had 36 of all the brand new Beanie Babies because I had contacts all over the place. And I don't know how many Beanie Babies I have, but I sold them all. And I grossed $12,001
Hmm.
in one 3-day period. But of course, I had Beanie Baby clothes. I had Beanie Baby capsules that you would put them in. I had tag protectors. I was the king of Beanie Babies at the flea market at that time.
Yeah.
And then I said to myself, I'm getting older. I just can't lug this trailer all over creation. We were going up to Virginia to these flea markets and knocking them dead. And I said, I'm going to open up a store. So I found a small location and I started selling Beanie Babies out of this location. It was doing really well. And then one kid came in one day and he says to me, his name is Jake, and he's one of our Patreon subscribers. Can you get Pokemon cards? And I looked at him and I said, what the hell are Pokemon cards? Just like I had said with Beanie Babies. Again, I developed some suppliers, some contacts, and I started carrying Pokemon cards. And then I changed the entire business. I was also doing collectible old toys and things like that that I would source flea markets and yard sales and wherever I can get them, cleaning them up and putting them in the store. But I got rid of the Beanie Babies. I had a little bit of a display and I started doing collectible cards. And I was buying them from Wizards. I was buying them from Pokemon cards from Wizards.
Okay.
My sales rep says to me, you ought to think about getting into Magic. I said, I don't have Magic players. I mean, what are they, magicians and stuff? I didn't know what the hell Magic was. And she says, no, it's a card game. That's when Wizards also had the license for Pokemon. So I started getting Magic cards. And the rest is history. Here I am, 26 glorious years later, 78 years old, and still hawking cards. And I probably still have 500 Beanie Babies in the garage sitting in bins, at least.
They're probably worth a whole $75 or something now.
At least, yeah.
Um,
That's how I got
all
started.
right, that's how you got into this and how you got to Magic. That's fascinating. What about John? Next question that we've got here is, what is a typical day for you, like running a shop? Um, why don't we do? Because I know that there's differences in all the days of the week. Let's talk about like a Friday where you're going to have a good crowd for a Friday night gaming event. So tell us what's a Friday like for the store.
All right. I come into the store usually around 10:30 in the morning. I don't open up until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Again, when I was younger, it was easier for me to get around. I would make sure the tables were clean, clean the shop, make it look good, make sure everything was stocked properly and marked properly as far as pricing and everything worked. And then I would have to do paperwork. I mean, there's behind the scenes stuff that people don't realize that you have to do. You have to pay your state sales tax. You have to keep track of your inventory. You have to keep track of your invoices. You have to make sure that you can get the next product that's coming out. So you develop contacts with your different suppliers. You look for alternate suppliers. Now, when I first started, I was running Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh on Friday nights. But I was running Yu-Gi-Oh 3 times a week, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. The Yu-Gi-Oh crowd started to diminish when COVID came around. So we only do Yu-Gi-Oh twice a week now. But Magic is the biggest, well, that's all I do on Friday nights. And dependent upon the event, it could be a zoo in here. I mean, I can seat 24 people in this store. Yeah, 24. However, I have the hallway that nobody's here in the weekends, and I can use the hallways. It's an enclosed hallway, and I've put out 3 or 4 tables there because I've had as many as 50 or 60 people. It just depends upon the event. It, if it's a pre-release, we're going to get more people. If it's just a normal Friday night Magic draft, I know what to expect, how many people. If it's a great set, I may get more. If it's a dog set, I may get less. And what I do also during the day is I check out competitors' pricing. I get on Wizard's site because when you set up an event, you have to put in an amount, how much the entry fee is. And some of these stores are outrageous. And I can understand that. They're in high traffic areas. They're probably paying a hell of a lot more rent than I am. And like, for instance, uh, they may be charging $45 for a pre release, whereby I may be only charging 32, 33. That's a significant difference.
Yeah.
But again, they have to price it accordingly for their market. So that's my typical. And I'm usually here, like I said, 10:30 in the morning. And the latest I've gotten out of here was 2 o'clock in the morning. So
Oh,
it was a long day. And I do it myself.
very good. All right. Well, let's swip over to another one. What would you say is the biggest challenge at running a local game store?
Inventory management
That's the
and
biggest challenge.
biggest challenge is two of them, and having the money available to pay for it. Uh, when I first started, I relied on credit cards. And it took me a couple of years, maybe 3 or 4 years, to get rid of that credit card debt. Now I pay everything with my credit card, with my debit card actually, and I get 1.5% back on it. However, as soon as that bill hits that credit card, I pay it right away. So it's boosted my credit rating, uh, and I'm 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 able to buy what I need to buy. However, when it comes down to balancing the inventory, you got to be really careful. You don't want to get stuck with a lot of unsellable merchandise. My shelves are pretty well stocked. Now, I don't have a lot of display space, so that kind of limits what I can get. I do have some backup stock here in the back room, but not a lot. And I'm very discriminate of what I buy. I only buy what I think I can sell and maybe a little bit more. And people say, "Well, how come you didn't order 10 cases of it?" Because I may not sell 10 cases of it. Four
Yeah.
cases may go, and then I'll be sitting there with six cases, in the back room that are not going to be selling, and that's money just sitting there, not turning over and making any money. That's the two of the biggest things I would say.
All right. Um, Talk to me about your perception. First of all, let's clarify. Do you play any of the card games that are in the store right now?
Yeah, I used to play Pokemon
Okay.
with them when they first came out. However, when I would sit down to play, invariably somebody'd be at the counter. I'd have to excuse myself to get up and take care of it. And then I said, well, it's not prudent for me to sit down and play. I got to run the store. And that's important because a lot of owners, they'll get so involved in a game that they won't sell some of their better cards that are sitting in the display
Yeah.
case, because they'll want them for their own deck, and they'll neglect running the store and play the game. And your main objective is to run the store so it doesn't run you.
How do you feel that digital products like MTG Arena or other online game platforms, Pokemon Pocket, have affected the physical gaming stores like yours?
It hasn't. It really hasn't. I thought it would, and I saw during the pandemic that people were craving to come into the store. And we were able to operate during the pandemic. We had spacing and the guys were great and everything else. And I said to myself, self, at that time, people aren't flocking to the online venues. They need the social interaction. Yeah, there's some people that, just will play online, and they think it's great because they don't have to go out of their house, and they're popping their pimples or whatever the hell they're doing when they're playing, and they're they just don't want to come into the store and play against somebody else.
Yeah.
But that's how I feel. It hasn't impacted it.
All right. Well, let's go with a final question for today's set of questions. If somebody came to you and said they wanted to open their own game store, what would the top piece of advice you would give them so that they could be successful in building their own physical store location?
Come out with a good business plan. Come out with a good location without any competitors within a 10 or 15-mile radius. Make sure that your rent is decent and have some money that you can put into the business. You just can't go into it with credit cards anymore. Uh, you can't. I've seen people do that. There was one store that, wow, I won't get into all the specifics, but he bought so much magic stuff on credit that he couldn't sell it. He bought a junkie set that didn't sell. He thought he was going to make a mint selling on eBay. It just didn't sell. And he was into the distributor for thousands and thousands of dollars. Eventually, he lost his house because he had to pay the company, pay the distributor, and that's what happened. So
All right. Well, those are five questions with John about running a local game store. I think that was a pretty good overall view of several of those topics. Some of those we've covered before, as John noted, and you guys can find other episodes in our library where you hear longer answers or deeper discussions about some of those questions. But in wrapping up today's YouTube video, John,
who's sending these questions anyway?
I made them up.
Oh, you made them up.
Yeah.
You did a pretty good job. Here, I thought we had a whole bunch of questions, comments. Damn, Noah, you're getting good.
All right.
Yeah, yeah, you made them up. You're an attorney.
It's
I
my
can understand where that's coming from.
it's my
Yeah,
profession.
go ahead. No, mhm.
We do want to take a second to thank our Patreon subscribers. John did mention that we have a group of patrons, so Patreon patrons, who have supported the channel and help us to be able to continue to produce these videos and to share content on the internet about running local game stores. We want to thank our subscribers. We've got Nathan, Brian, Jacob, Drayden, Logan, Brandon, Grant, and Ben. You guys are fantastic, and thank you for continuing to support the channel in that way. If you too would like to join up with them and share your support financially, you can do that on Patreon. It's patreon.com, and we are Card Shop Insider on that platform.
Well, I want the patrons to know where this money went to, that their contributions. The software that we use, Riverside.fm, was $288 that they just withdrew from my account the other day. There was no discount. I thought I could, worm a 15 or 10 or 15% discount. It didn't happen. They automatically just hit it.
They just
But
hit you.
that's where the funds are going.
Well, we appreciate that. If you don't want to support us financially, you don't have to. It's super helpful if you would like and subscribe to the channel here on YouTube and Spotify. And leave us comments on the YouTube videos so that the algorithm will know that you liked the video enough to engage with it. And it'll show it to other people like you that have interest in local game stores, collectible gaming hobbies, or TCGs. Um, that's all I got for today, John.
Uh, if you guys have any comments and you have any questions, leave it in the comments section. That's important because Noah just can't keep making up questions all the time. Okay. If you have questions, put them out there for us, and I'll do the best I can, or Noah will do the best he can to answer them. And that's the only way. We're trying to build a community here. It's not just, subscribers. You guys are a community. You follow us, and I do appreciate it. Hit the notifications bell so anytime we put up a new video, you're notified. Like the video, that'll help us a lot. And if you want to share it with somebody else, say, hey, these guys are halfway decent. You want to listen to them? Share it with somebody else for us. I would appreciate that. That's it, Noah. Take it away.
All right, folks. Till next time, keep gaming.
Bye.